today, guys, I got Justin White. He's he's well known in the CTS-V world. That's where I first saw you, is CTS-V forums and the infighting in that group of what tuner is the king this month, and the infighting is just insane in that community. And for people that know me, know that like I kind of gravitate towards that community. It's kind of like the mothership drawn, like that's where I kind of started in the cars, LSAs and stuff like that, and a lot of time with Jeremy at Faster Proms and hanging out with him. So I like that community a lot, but man, it's toxic. But I do like it.
But it wasn't always that way. You know, when I first got into it, it really wasn't that bad. The first one out was really Rick Crawford. He was out there kind of
still a legend in the LSA.
Absolutely. Well, he's got it covered now. I mean, there's no competing with him. You can't compete with that blower. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's 12 o'clock in his car. 3,800-pound G8.
But back then, you know, I'd been tuning for quite a while till then, but I never really pushed into like one platform real hard. And that's the first platform I was like, this is what I want. This is what I like. I respect the car. And I mean, they make power so easy.
Yeah.
That was back when we didn't believe in ported blowers or anything. And we were running 990s, 10.0s with just upper pulley injectors in E85.
Now, you didn't believe in them, or the community
I didn't think it did anything.
Interesting.
A lot of people did, but we were faster than anybody with those mods.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a gutted out car or anything like that. It was a guy, Evan Clark, and he loved the track. Mm-hmm. And we just kept pushing it, changing fuels, playing with stuff. And I mean, 990 with a car that was still like 4,400 something pounds.
Yeah, and fairly new-ish at the time. Like, and not, you know, now they're so tried and true.
Yeah, there's so many combos now. You can be like, just do this.
Yeah. I know. Anybody that's doing something like, you know, you just want like a regular street car CTS-V and you're like going to do something unique and like, you know, you're going to do a custom grind cam. It's all such a waste when there's so much info on that car. It's insane.
The cam thing's going to be something that it's I guess it's more I was told forever ago, and I give credit, it's about 7 or 8 years ago, I was told what cam was the best cam for a PD blower by Rick.
Yeah.
And the specs were just weird. And I'm like, is he setting me up or what? So I didn't listen. I worked with Thule, and when I went to the BT, that same car, we put the stage 3 cam in it, and the 60-foot went from like a 1.3, I think we were doing 1.36s, to like a 1.45. And I'm like, hey, something's wrong. And he's like, well, if you can get data from some cars, we'll adjust the cam accordingly. So I took 50 cars, 50 CTS-Vs worth of data, going to the track, running it, writing their mods down, made a list, and they did the BTR3 torque, which, funny enough, had more exhaust, less intake. I don't know how he came up with that, but that's what he calculated.
Yeah.
So it trended towards what Rick had told me to run, which was like a 217, 240 or something like that. Mm-hmm. So if you think about that and you look at all these other cams, you're like, that doesn't make any sense. And why would he tell you that?
Yeah.
But so that cam trended towards that. And that
so
cam,
he was kind of right off the kick.
Oh, he was 100%.
You wanted to make sure you got your own data.
I'm just embarrassed to say that it took me 7 years to actually apply it properly.
Yeah.
But so we trended towards it. That cam did really well. I mean, we did some really fast cars. I think we were running 920s with that cam, with a porta blower, things like that. It wasn't until I got into the LT stuff that I was like, man, all these cams that everybody runs, they put these massive cams in these cars. And I was just thinking back on that cam. And I called Rick one day. I'm like, hey, what are your thoughts? Because I know he was doing testing with Brian Thule at their research area. Mm-hmm. And I had went and visited Thule a couple times and went over some R&D with him. And I'm like, man, we should try that cam. So I picked up 3 cams from different known cams that everybody runs. And then I had 3 cams from Thule, and I put them on an engine dyno with an LT4. I think it was a porta blower, bolt-on deal. And that stage 1 cam that he had, which was the 217, 230, 240, whatever it is, destroyed everything.
Huh.
I mean, by a lot.
And who's doing the cam specking at Thule at the time? Is it Brian?
It's Brian.
Okay.
But
I didn't know he did
that cam came out after Rick was there.
Oh, okay.
So Rick was working with them, and I guess together, that was one of the designs they come out with. Mm-hmm. So I had his 1, 2, and 3. The Stage 2 dropped 30 horsepower. The Stage 3 dropped, I think, another 10 or 15.
Sounds like they should reverse those
right.
those numbers just a little.
So once I did the testing, I didn't post any of this online because
It's still good drivability.
I pulled the motor out of a car. I paid for it. I was just tired of just giving away info, and people didn't listen anyways. I was like, whatever. So the drivability is phenomenal because it's a very small cam.
Yeah, and it's a stock converter on those deals, right?
For the most part,
a lot of them.
Yeah, for the most part. My car has a converter in it because I deal with Circle D, and they were like, here's the new hotness. And I'm like,
Try
all right,
something
cool.
out.
But so Tooley's reservation was, man, if you don't have any intake, he's like, I think it'll work good. And I know what you're seeing on the dyno, but in the real world. So I have a Stingray, and it's got a 2650 on it. He's like, well, you put that big blower, that might be a problem. And I said, okay, well, let's find out. Well, that car makes like 1,200 wheel, and it runs mid threes, 60 to 130. And it's a full weight, 3,800 pound Stingray with nothing fancy. It's a rod and piston motor.
Is that thing really that heavy?
Yeah.
Shit, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Well,
Why is Chevy so bad at that?
I think they were just trying to make it. I think they were making up for the terrible interior on the C6. So they went a little extra fancy on the C7. I mean,
maybe.
if you ever hear the audio system and all in those cars, I mean, that's got to be some of the weight.
Yeah.
That's killer.
I just can't. Oh my God. Come on, Chevy.
I don't know why they're so heavy. We'll get into the disappointments in Chevy because now that I'm stepping into the
You got 3
to
hours.
the BMW world, I got whatever time I need.
For the disappointments in Chevy. Guys, thank you for tuning in to the Bogetti Clips YouTube channel. For the full podcast, check us out on Bogetti Studios YouTube and all your audio platforms. Also, hit that subscribe button to not miss out on any of the new Bogetti clips coming up.